semi-final stage and both teams are battling hard for a place in the grand final. Now, as usual, the guys will have just 8 hours to produce the most magnificent mutant machine, which will then be put to test right here in the factory yard. Let's welcome back the boys in blue, the Jeepers, against the red team, Ming's Merciless mob. Guys, the test today is to produce a push-me-pull-you vehicle. Now, we've given you each a running Nova, and you can salvage whatever you like from the mutant machine's graveyard. Now, you've got just 8 hours to complete this task, and remember that the winner could get their hands on this amazing Mutant Machines trophy. All right, guys, you know the rules, you know the score. When that red light goes to green, it's time to run into the workshop and head for your tools. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1, go! The double-fronted cars will be judged on straight-line speed and handling in both directions. But potentially the most fun of all, they'll be put through the Mutant Machine's Doughy test, a measure of their ability to do 360s, with 2 engines, 2 gearboxes, 2 steering wheels and 2 windscreens. Or maybe not. Both teams are tooled up and raring to go. The Jeepers, Paul, Jeff, Graham and Mick broke down the opposition at the quarter-final stage with a breakdown truck, mutated from a car and a generator. And Ming's Merciless mob are just as tough. Tim, Steve, Scotty and Neil made it through to the semis with a log splitter that shredded their student opponents. And though they showed some mercy then, they're in a mean mood today. Now then, lads, this is looking very technical. Yeah. Not like you lot at all, is it?
Not really. Oh,
come on, then show us.
We've got a cut there as well, look.
Well, that might help.
Yeah, we've got some cuts and some welds and drive it by fins and, you know, it'll work, won't it?
All right, well, talk us through then. Which vehicles are we going to use? The
clue is it says Nova there and Metro there.
OK. Oh, you are cheeky, you two. Come on, talk me through it then. What's the plan? You're going to slice them both in half, then what?
Chop them straight in half, weld them straight back together again, and then worry about the seats and rest a bit later. Same as usual. Chaos theory.
Oh no, this is your plan, isn't it? There's not a lot to it, is there? It's just cut and dried.
Look, it's got windows and everything. Look, it's lovely.
OK, all right. Well, how's it going to handle?
How's it going to handle?
In which direction?
Well, it's going to have 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steering. It'll crab, it'll quick steer. It'll do a lot, won't it? Break down, fall in half, everything you want.
With more than a dozen vehicles to choose from in the Mutant Machines yard, the Reds have gone for a Metro to partner their Nova, because they reckon the old A-Series engine is just about as simple as they come, and will make marrying the 2 halves together much easier. The Blues, on the other hand, prefer an old Proton. What are you mumbling about there, Jeff?
Can't get the bonnet open.
Oh dear, well I take it this is going to be your second donor vehicle.
It is. It was used actually in our previous competition by our competitors, who bent it in half nicely for us. So it'll make cutting the back end off easier. We think it's a good runner. We'll find out shortly, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, it's a strange-looking vehicle. We nicknamed it the banana car.
Yeah, the banana mobile. I think that's entirely reasonable. I say our previous mob from Loughborough bent it in half for us, so we can just finish off their job and cut the back end off.
Ah. Getting your revenge against your ex-competitors.
We think of it more as a tribute to them. They did a fine job actually getting finished last time, so after their disaster with it, so we thought we'd, as a tribute to them, we'd reuse it.
OK, excellent. Well, is it running?
I have no idea. Let's...
Oh, sweet as a nut.
Can't fault it.
Come on, then you may as well give me a lift back into the workshop. Let's see what your other competitors are doing. Easy on the throttle. Woo!
Yeah, trust me, do you?
How's that? Jack, your name's Jack. Hydraulic Jack. Come on.
Back in the workshop, it's slice and dice time. Cutting the cars and joining the bodywork together will be relatively straightforward. It's reconnecting things like brake pipes and fuel lines that will be tricky, though clearly access isn't going to be a problem for either team. Mind you, I wouldn't recommend the Reds' choice of prop.
Don't put the handbrake on it, never roll.
They've left their Nova in this precarious position while they retrieve the other half of their push-me-pull-you. By definition, a double-fronted vehicle has no rear end, so what's chopped off is rubbish. Or certainly that's the case for the Blues, who are storming ahead and opening up an early lead. The Reds have thrown out their original plan and have come up with a significantly different solution, according to our man in the know, Professor Martin Smith of the Technology Innovation Centre. OK, Professor, let's take a look at how both the red and blue teams are going about their designs today. Let's start with the red.
Well, what the red team have done is they've taken the top off the car so that they can get better access to the back of the car, because what they've decided to do is, instead of welding two cars together after cutting them in half, is to actually take a Metro and fit it inside the Nova.
Are you happy with their plan?
I think they're making it difficult for themselves, because it's going to be quite difficult fitting one car exactly inside another, getting the gaps not too small, and then it won't fit. And if you get the gaps too big, then you can't weld across large gaps. So a bit tricky.
And the blue team?
The blue team have done what you might expect, which is to cut the two cars in half. They've cut the Nova in half and cut the Proton in half, and just going to weld them down the centre. One thing they've done that is a little more cunning that you might not have predicted is that they've left an overlap on the Proton, so that when they come to weld the two cars together, they've got a nice seam to be able to make at the top.
And of course giving them a bit more rigidity as well.
Yes. The disadvantage with their plan is that the distance from the front wheel to the centre of the car for the Nova, plus the distance from the centre of the wheel for the Proton, makes a wheelbase, that is the distance between the two wheels, is now very long, and that will make the car not very manoeuvrable.
Which one do you think is going to handle better?
Oh, the short wheelbase car will handle better than the long wheelbase car, the distance between those wheels.
It seems as if the Jeepers have been reading the prof's mind, because before welding the two front ends together, they decide to remove this extra slice to give the finished vehicle a tighter turning circle. The change of mind allows Ming's Merciless mob to retake the lead in the construction stage with their more complex engine in the boot design. But it isn't long before the lead changes again and the Blues are back on course. Have the Reds bitten off, or perhaps that should be sliced off, more than they can chew? Most people struggle getting their luggage into a Nova boot. These guys are trying to fit a Metro engine. In a seesaw contest, the struggle to align the engine allows the lead to change yet again.
I think the blue team have caught up and overtaken the red team now, because they've got the simpler task of just welding the two cars together rather than trying to slot the subframe inside an ordinary car.
But I would have thought the red team slotting one car inside the other, they'd almost have a bit of a double thickness in parts and their vehicle would be a bit stronger instead of just the blue team relying on one weld all the way around, aren't they?
All right, but if you've got the welds close together so that the top weld on the car is quite close to the bottom weld, then you've got a lot of leverage on those two welds. And that's happening because the red team have cut the tops off their cars. Now the blue team, because the car is effectively twice as tall, there's much less leverage, much less pulling on the welds, so they may end up with a stronger car.
Right. This is going to be a real close one, Prof. I can just feel it in my bones. It's going to go right down to the wire, isn't it?
Down to the welding wire.
If they can get their car going, that is. Otherwise, it'll be no contest. The Metro engine ran perfectly out in the yard, but now it's been shoved in the boot it doesn't want to know. It's beginning to look as if the Jeepers have got it in the bag. It may look like the product of a road rage row over a parking space, but at least the Blues haven't radically altered their two engines, so they should run. Back on the other side of the workshop, desperate times call for desperate measures and an unorthodox cure for a flooded engine. The red challenge is back on track, and now the other side have got the Blues. Their petrol Proton hasn't taken too kindly to being topped up with diesel. Will either team ever make it to the starting line? It's time for Mutant Machines to take a back seat for just a moment, but you stay in yours because when we return, Carmageddon will commence in the workshop. Can Ming's Merciless mob run donuts around the Jeepers? That's the question, and it'll be answered in a moment. Welcome back to Mutant Machines. It's a tale of two halves as both teams battle it out for a place in the grand final. Now today's test is to build a push-me-pull-me motor in just 8 hours. One which is good enough, man enough to master our outdoor short circuit. Now the cars are taking shape, but the problem is I can't quite tell which is the front and which is the back. I guess this must be the front. That's where the engine is. No, that's the front. No, that's the back. That's the front. Guys?
The red team's design looks more like one car until you realise it's got 4 reverse gears and goes just as well in either direction.
Damn, guys, that was a fine display of driving there. Now, who was doing the driving?
It was him. Him.
Ming's Merciless mob have shoehorned a Metro subframe and engine into the boot of their Nova, and after this brief test run, return to the workshop to tweak their engine, fix a roll cage and give it a paint job. And then the Jeepers are ready to test their Mutant machine. Now it may not look quite as nice, but the important question is, how will it handle?
You gone a bit pale, Jeff?
It's quite an experience, particularly with no brakes. It may, yeah, go barreling towards the hedge, and there's no way to stop, and nobody knows which way you're going to turn. It's quite fun.
Were you pushing or pulling?
Both. So quite often together, actually.
How were you communicating with each other, you know, as to what you and the car were going to do?
We weren't. As soon as we tried to communicate, it all went to pot. So simply we were just looking over and watching each other's steering wheels.
I should have bought some of that.
In the final analysis, it may well come down to driving skills because these are 2 highly experienced teams. They've tested and trimmed their mutants in under 8 hours.
Kind of blue on blue camouflage.
Well, I'd like to call time, but both teams are so eager to get out there and race their Mutant machines that they've finished them, down tools, and are already out there walking the course, so I better go and get my stopwatch. It's time for the showdown. In a few moments' time, we'll be finding out which team is going to go through to the grand final. And of course, they'll have the chance of getting their greasy mitts on this beautiful piece of hardware. Right, okay, the test will be split into 3, and the first part of the test will concentrate on finding out which Mutant machine has the best straight line speed. Each team will have to go up and down the course twice, and we'll be timing them. The blue team will be up first. Okay, Blues, if you hit the car at the end, it's 30 seconds added on to your time, and you wouldn't want that. Are you ready to go? Easy on the brake. In 3, 2, 1, boot it!
Okay, the blue team finished that section in 42.4 seconds.
Okay, the Reds are up next. Okay, guys, the blue team did it in 42. That's the time you've got to beat.
What up?
Feeling confident?
We're going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Get ready for that light going green. In 3, 2, 1, go! excellent display. Where's the professor? Come on, Prof, give me your times on the doors. That was serious.
Great fun.
You like that?
Yeah, brilliant.
A nice skid there over the start-finish line. We like that. Finished in style.
Yes, definitely.
OK, Prof, what time did they do it in?
The red team did that section of the contest in 27.6 seconds.
Excellent. OK, so after the first round, the red team are in the lead.
OK, it's time for round 2, which takes place around the short circuit oval. Now, this round is all about speed and agility, because if either of the teams so much as breathe, nudge or touch our previous Mutant Machines wrecks, then we're going to add 30 seconds penalty time to their score. And they wouldn't want that now, would they? And they've not just got to go around this circuit once, they've got to go around a total of 4 times. Twice clockwise and twice anti-clockwise. Therefore, both drivers in that car get to take the wheel. OK, guys, are you ready to start this next test? In 3, 2, 1, go! OK, Prof, what did you make of that round?
OK, for round 2, the Reds have completed the circuit in 35.7 seconds.
Any penalty points?
None.
OK, blue team, the current lap record stands at 35.7. That's the time you've got to beat. How confident are you?
Not very, but we'll get there. We'll give it a go.
Give it your best shot. Are you ready to boot it? In 3, 2, 1.
Right, the time for the blue team on round 2 is 37 seconds.
Oh, it's a close one.
And?
You're still a second and a bit slower. But are you ready for round 3? This is going to be the decider. OK, back in your cars. This is the Donut Challenge. We're giving both teams 30 seconds to complete as many 360s as possible. Each one they complete will knock 5 seconds off their elapsed time. So the team with the shortest time wins the round. Simple as that. OK, guys, you ready for your Donut Challenge? Take it away. In 3, 2, 1.
Spinning? That was wild.
Oh my goodness, I've never seen anything like it. Oh, you did it?
I've got to get me one of these. I may throw up.
I think I'd better leave you both to get your breath. Professor, how many donuts did they do?
18.
OK, boys, this is not going to be easy. If you want to win this round and go through to the grand final, you've got to do at least 22 donuts in 30 seconds. The only advice I can give you is just put your foot flat to the floor.
This will stop. This will stop.
You've got to go for it. OK. 3, 2...
Oh no, blow it up.
Sorry, guys.
Oh well.
It just didn't happen, did it?
It didn't. We stalled halfway through, which didn't help. The Proton needs a few too many revs for that kind of hijinks, unfortunately. But there we are.
I've got to say, the whole crew and the spectators ran for cover there in the first 2 seconds.
Well, the problem is when one end stalls, the other end is suddenly driving. So, and you just happen to be in the sights at the time. Sorry.
Oh, then you guys must have a sweat on in there.
Ah, it's good fun.
Excellent. OK, let's go back to the start-finish straight. Come on. OK, Prof, what are the scores on the doors then?
The scores are that the blue team only got 5 turns for that when they needed 22, so they're way behind, I'm afraid.
OK, well, I think we can all do the maths. I'm pleased to say that this week's Mutant Machines winners, and of course going through to the grand final, are none other than Ming's Merciless Mob. Well done, guys. Come on, let's give them a big round of applause and a bottle of champagne. What you got to say for yourself?
I'm really glad we won. We came up against some stiff competition, though. They really put up a good fight.
Come on, Blue Team, have you had a good time today?
Oh, it's been an excellent time. We've had a good time.
Yeah.
And they were very good.
It was brilliant.
They did, didn't
they did.
It was running pretty close after round 2, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. We got let down by one of our cars, but I don't think we'd have got them anyway. They were doing well today.
Well, don't forget to join us at the same time next week for another semi-final. It's going to be cracking stuff. See you then on Mutant Machines. Where's the crate? I've got a wet arse.
Both cars, full right-hand lock, full throttle, drop the clutch in first gear, both of them.
Just switch off your brain and put your foot down.
I just tumbled round and round and round and round and round and round. Don't know where you are. Because you just feel dizzy and sick. It's an unbelievable feeling.
Nearly sick.